the next 2 months are very well known. I think we will end in the roughly at 98 at least this month already, which is huge. Nobody believes it. And then 135 in December at least. But yeah, I'm not interested in the top at all. So I don't know when it is. Yeah, when we get there, I know it, but I don't know where it is. I'm not interested in that because I know it will be probably a 1 minute spike, right? I cannot trade it. I cannot sell or buy at that price level. I'm more interested in the general level where it hovers around, where it will yeah. So no, it's exactly like you say. So, but still, I think we'll go on in Q1, because that's another thing you can measure from on chain. You can see the shortage that we're all talking about. How many Bitcoins are there? And you guys are really looking at coins at exchanges, and are they leaving exchanges to cold storage or coming at exchanges? But I'm looking at it at an on-chain level, and then you see that shortage building to a moment where it pops. We're still without telling what I'm looking at exactly, but we're still months away from that popping moment, and so I would say the top is at least 3 to 6 months, maybe longer away. I really don't think a crash is coming. I think we'll see a bull market that goes on for at least 6 months and bring us in the 100,000, 200,000. I wouldn't even be surprised with 500,000 Bitcoin in early 2022. But when we get to the sketchy part, when the FOMO transactions flow in, and you can detect those transactions, they are very distinct, then well, we have to all be a little bit more alert, right?
What milestones do you see as being the most impactful when we talk about the acceleration of hyper Bitcoinization?
Yeah, I think it's very similar. I mean, El Salvador was the first sovereign state to recognize it and even hold it in their treasury. And I think the next milestone is really to look at a wealthy, industrialized nation that holds it in their sovereign wealth. Because I think that's interesting, because then you got to sit at the table at the sovereign level who are going to bat for Bitcoin against like banning it or regulating it out. I think that's important. It'll add comfort to a lot of people coming in, and I think in terms of a metric, I think the next milestone really is the distribution. To have that distribution be less concentrated and start to reflect something akin to what we see within the fiat world, and then further distribute. I think that's one of the most important things. Everything within Bitcoin is very reliant on decentralization, and decentralization of the wealth base is just as important. Right, I think that would be a kind of non-visible political milestone. It's non-political milestone. It's just a metric where we just cross, and like now it's more spread than fiat, and then hopefully it continues to spread, and we have a better distribution of wealth in the world. And that's my hope. Let's see how it works. Currently it's more just concentrated, but I'm seeing every year that the whales sail down, and eventually we'll have succession. The original rich whales will eventually pass on in their inheritance to the next generation, and so I think we'll get there. PlanB.
Yeah, predicting is difficult, but predicting far in the future is even more difficult. One thing I learned is that even 2 years into the future is so difficult. If you look back 2 years, right? If you look back at the end of 2019, I would have never predicted COVID or the whole thing around that. That's not even 2 years ago. So I think what will happen and what will be the big accelerator for Bitcoin and a lot more things with it is something we don't know yet. Something that will pop up next month, tomorrow, 6 months from now, that will alter the entire scene. It could be climate change, it could be a cyber security leak thingy scenario with attacks, and then all the banks, all the money is gone, and of course Bitcoin is the only network that cannot be hacked and attacked. It's something we cannot even think of right now that will trigger that hyper Bitcoinization.
Do you think about tail risks?
Yeah, tail risks.
Like I think it's a tail risk that Bitcoin doesn't succeed. I think it's more like, when it's already at a level of success where it's going to get to the next level.
Yeah.
But the tail risk is if something breaks and then the next day it's gone.
Yeah. The tail risk. Yeah, there is tail risk. But I agree with you. How I see it is Bitcoin is the better money. It's the better store of value. It's mathematically, thermodynamically, it's the best there is. So it must succeed. It has to succeed. It can be stalled. It can be sabotaged by political things, by military things, but it is physically or thermodynamically, it's mathematically, it's the best thing there is. So it would be like saying keep saying that the Earth is flat while it is round. One day you cannot hold that ball under the water. It has to pop up. So I fully agree. Bitcoin will go higher and higher, and there is still risk, but I think it's.
So we can't see it by definition, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
What's the saying that the biggest risks are the ones you don't know, right?
Yeah.
That's it. And that's the same is true for the biggest opportunities. So I think the next trigger, it will pop up. One day we'll wake up and then there it is. Changes the whole world.
Historically, what have been kind of the behaviors or investor behaviors on chain that have resembled a bear market and a bull market, and kind of break down how you guys view the anatomy of that whole process?
Yeah, to be honest, I view the on-chain, I think the on-chain analysis, for me at least, is most valuable in identifying tops and bottoms. So identifying FOMO transactions, if you will, around the all-time high, and panic liquidation kind of reactions or transactions in a bear market, the bottom of a bear market. So, and you know it when you get there, right? So I could not say what the top of the market will be right now, because we're not in a FOMO situation. So at least I know we're not in a FOMO situation. So it is not the top, but I don't know when the top is, and that's that's of course the difference with the stock to flow, more fundamental model that has gold data and stuff in there, that you can very, very roughly say something about the level. Yeah, you could expect the next Bitcoin price level to be, but on chain, so at least I can say we're not in a bear market right now, and we're not at the FOMO end of the bull market, so we must be somewhere in between.